The letter from his sister arrived on his birthday. When Riku read it, his blood ran cold. I heard you ended things with Yuki. You deserve someone better, little brother.
Yuki. We broke up 2 weeks ago. I never told a soul. How can this be?
He ripped open the drawer, sending the decades' worth of letters spilling across the desk. Every single one, supposedly from his dead sister, knew his life intimately.
I always told myself Mom and Dad arranged it as a coping mechanism. But they couldn't know about my new job, or my move, or this.
The sender was close, watching, predatory. The thought made his stomach churn. He held the paper under the lamp, examining every stroke of the pen.
This handwriting, I've seen it before. In high school notes, it looks just like. I have to know who's been doing this, and why.
Riku grabbed his phone. The number for his parents came up by muscle memory. His mother's voice was bewildered. Neither she nor his father had sent the letters. They had no idea what he was talking about.
If not them, then someone has been watching my life for 10 years.
He dug through a box of Sakura's old school things. His fingers found a familiar notebook. He placed the latest letter beside the notebook and traced the handwriting with his fingertip.
The slant, the pressure. It's identical. This isn't a stranger mimicking her.
A memory struck. The day of the funeral. Rain hammering on umbrellas, a coffin too small.
Sakura died at 16. There's no way she wrote letters about my first job or my breakup.
But the handwriting was undeniable. It was too careful, too consistent. Not a forgery, a familiar hand.
Hina. The way she dots her I's and curves her A's. It's exactly like this.
He sent a casual message to Hina, asking if she'd meet for coffee at their usual spot. Nothing out of the ordinary. 40 minutes later, she walked through the cafe door with a gentle smile, but Riku was already studying her.
Thanks for coming. I've been thinking about old times lately.
Old times. Sounds a little ominous.
That laugh was forced, and her fingers are gripping the cup so tightly her knuckles are white. Do you remember how Sakura used to write birthday letters to everyone? She never missed a year.
The spoon clattered against the saucer. Hina's hand pulled back as if burned. She wouldn't look at him.
Oh, I just remembered. I have to be somewhere. I am sorry.
She grabbed her bag and hurried out before he could say another word, leaving the coffee untouched.
She knows. She's known everything all along. Like that time she asked about my promotion before it was announced.
Riku knew her routine. He waited outside her apartment building, the early spring air doing nothing to cool his suspicion. When Hina emerged and walked toward the post office, her steps quick and habitual, he followed without a sound. At the red postbox on the corner, she slipped her hand into her bag and withdrew a cream envelope, identical to the one he'd received that morning.
That's the same stationery, the same fold. It's her.
He stepped out from the alley, blocking her path. Her eyes met his, and she went rigid.
Open it. Show me what's inside, Hina, or I'll open it myself.
Her fingers clenched around the paper, knuckles white, but she couldn't move. The wind rustled her braid.
I didn't. I can't. Please, just leave it alone.
She thrust the envelope at him as if it burned, turned, and fled, her footsteps echoing down the empty street.
10 years. 10 years of lies, and she was the one who smiled at me every day.
Riku went straight to Hina's apartment, the unopened envelope still crumpled in his fist. The door felt like the only answer.
Open the door, Hina. I am not leaving until you face me.
After a long silence, the lock clicked. Hina stood in the gap, eyes swollen, already broken.
Tell me it wasn't you. Say you didn't write those letters as my sister.
I wrote them. I wanted to keep Sakura's memory alive. It was the only way I could help.
Keep her memory alive? By forging her words every year, by making me believe she was still with me. You played God with my grief. Every year, a lie. And you smiled like you were helping.
I know it was wrong, but you were hurting. After the accident, I couldn't bear to see you alone.
He walked out, slamming the door behind him. The sound echoed down the hallway. Hina slid to the floor, her sobs swallowed by the silence. Riku returned home and locked the door. The apartment was too quiet, so he tore open the latest letter again, needing to relive the betrayal. He pulled the oldest letter from the stack, the one that had arrived 10 years ago on his 17th birthday. The paper was brittle at the edges. "Happy birthday, Riku. I can't believe you are 17 already. Please don't be sad. I am always watching over you. Love, Sakura."
This voice, it's different. The later letters are careful, like an adult writing. This one is raw, almost like she was still a child when she wrote it.
He placed the first and latest letters side by side, tracing the loops of the letters with shaking fingers.
Hina would have been 16 when this was written. Could she have mimicked Sakura's voice that perfectly back then? It feels too genuine.
The words in the first letter had a teenage simplicity, misspellings that had been corrected, a heart doodled in the corner. The later letters were flawless.
If Hina lied about writing the first one, what else is she hiding? This whole story is falling apart.
The anger was still there, but a thread of doubt had woven itself into his chest, pulling tighter with each comparison.
I need to know the whole truth, not just the part she was willing to give me.
He returned to the box and dug deeper, finding a spiral notebook marked Sakura's class notes. The handwriting inside was exactly like the first letter, loopy, unpolished, alive.
The R in arigato, that leftward hook. It's identical. Hina couldn't have written this. These are Sakura's real words.
He set the notebook beside the letter, his pulse roaring as the truth began to surface. He went to the cemetery, walking through the evening mist to the grave he'd avoided. He knelt and traced her name. The photo clasped to the stone looked back at him.
Did you really send me that first letter, Sakura? Were you still with me? Hina knows more than she told me. I have to go back and make her explain everything.
He stood, his jaw set, and left the cemetery with a new resolve. Riku returned to Hina's apartment that evening. This time, his knock was quieter, more deliberate. When Hina opened the door, her eyes were red, but she did not turn him away.
I found Sakura's notebook. The handwriting matches the first letter exactly.
You were right to be angry. I should have told you everything from the start.
Was that really Sakura? Did she write that first letter?
Hina took a shuddering breath, then walked to her desk and pulled out an old envelope tucked inside a book.
The first 3 letters, she wrote them. In the hospital, she asked me to send them after she was gone, but that's not all. She made me promise something, and I need you to see this. It's the only way you'll understand.
A promise. What could my sister have asked of her that was worth 10 years of this?
Hina handed him the envelope, her hands trembling, and waited for him to open it. Riku opened the envelope. Inside were 3 folded sheets covered in the uneven handwriting of a sick teenager. "I am watching over you, okay? So don't you dare give up on your dreams."
She made me promise to send a letter each year. After your 19th, I had to write them myself. She said, "You are his big sister now. Don't let him be alone." That was her final request.
Sakura planned this. She knew she'd leave me, so she built a bridge out of letters.
Hina's tears fell onto the table. The letters lay between them, heavy with a decade of unspoken sacrifice.
All these years, you never told anyone. Why did you bear this burden completely alone?
I didn't want your pity. I just wanted to keep her promise.
10 years of silent loyalty. He finally saw the truth behind her tears.
He held the letters, torn between shame and wonder. The betrayal he'd felt was crumbling. If you did this for Sakura, why keep it a secret? Why not just tell me from the start?
Because if you knew, the letters wouldn't be hers anymore. They'd be a lie from a childhood friend. I didn't want to replace her. I just wanted to be the big sister she asked for, even if it meant disappearing behind the words.
And I called her a liar. I screamed at her when she was only keeping a dying girl's promise.
Riku gathered the letters and stood. He couldn't look at her. Not yet.
I need time, Hina. I have to think. Alone.
He walked home in the dark, the envelope pressed against his chest like a fragile heart. Inside his apartment, he cleared the desk and arranged all 11 letters, 10 plus the new one, in careful order.
I have to read them from the beginning. I have to hear her voice again. And then, Hina's.
He sat, the first letter in his trembling hands, and began. In Sakura's hospital letter, the paper smelled faintly of antiseptic. Riku traced every faltering stroke. Through the window, a memory flickered. 2 girls in a sterile room, one lying still, the other gripping her hand.
I'll send the letters. I'll never let him be alone. I swear.
Sakura's reply was too weak for words, but the light in her eyes said everything. Riku read the second letter through sobs, then the third, each one a little more unsteady, as if her strength had faded.
She was terrified, not of dying, but of leaving me. And her last act was to build me a family.
He reached for the 4th letter, the first that Hina had written. The handwriting was more careful, but the tone matched Sakura's spirit.
She'd memorized my life, my promotion, my moves, even my heartbreak, not to spy, but to speak for someone who couldn't. I screamed at her to leave, and she did. But for 10 years before that, she never wavered.
He set the letters down and grabbed his coat. The rain outside didn't matter. Nothing mattered but finding her. The rain soaked through his coat as he ran, but Riku didn't slow until he reached her door. Inside, Hina was kneeling beside a cardboard box, filling it with envelopes, pens, and the last remnants of her decade-long promise.
Hina, please, open the door. I need to talk to you.
The door swung open. Her eyes were swollen, and she clutched a manila envelope to her chest as if it were the only thing left.
I read them, all of them, hers and yours. I know what you did and why.
Then you know I never meant to hurt you. I was only trying to keep her voice alive.
I was wrong to scream at you. You gave 10 years to a promise I didn't even know existed. I am sorry.
Hina's legs gave way, and Riku caught her, pulling her into his chest as the tears finally came.
I thought you'd hate me forever. I was packing everything away, thinking it was over.
It's not over. It can't be. Not after all of this.
They moved to the couch. Hina sat with her hands wrapped around a teacup, finally steady.
She wrote the first letter while the ivory was still in her arm. Every sentence took all her strength. Tell Riku I am proud of him. Every year, promise me you'll say that. Those were her own words.
She remembered, word for word, a decade later, like a prayer.
After the 3rd year, I realized I'd stopped living my own life. I was just a voice for her.
Hina, you gave up everything. How did you bear it alone?
Sakura held my hand and said, "You are not alone either. We'll both be his family." So I just kept going.
Riku closed his eyes, seeing the girl who'd traded her youth for a promise she never broke.
It was never a burden. As long as you opened those letters, I knew I was still keeping her alive.
They sat in the quiet, the weight of 10 years finally shared between them. 2 days passed in a quiet blur. On the 3rd morning, Riku stood at Hina's door with a new intention.
Riku? You came back.
I've been thinking. Those letters can't stop. They're the only connection I have to both of you now.
What do you mean?
I mean, we should write them together. From now on, as a shared memory, not a secret.
Together? But if I am part of it, they won't be hers anymore.
The old fear flickered in her eyes, but Riku stepped closer, his voice gentle.
They'll always be hers, but they can be yours too. You are not replacing her. Hina, you are adding to her legacy.
Hina looked down at the box of supplies, her fingers resting on a blank envelope.
I want to believe that, but I am so used to hiding behind her words.
1 month later, on a soft morning, Riku knocked on Hina's door again. It was his birthday. They sat at her desk, a blank sheet of cream paper between them. The old letters sat in a stack nearby.
What do we write?
We start with a thank you to Sakura for every word she left behind and for trusting you to carry them.
Hina's hand trembled as she wrote the first line, but Riku touched her wrist, steadying it.
I want to add something from me. Thank you, Riku, for letting me stop hiding.
The pen glided across the page. Line by line, the letter became a conversation between the two of them and the sister they both loved. At the bottom, they paused. Then, together, they signed. With all our love, Riku and Hina. For the first time in 11 years, the letter bore two names, one hers, one his. They placed the new letter beside Sakura's framed photo on the desk, the stack of 10 old letters forming a wall of memory.
Sakura, thank you for every word you left behind. We promise to keep writing, not out of duty, but because you taught us to love.
And Hina, for 10 years of invisible love. You were my big sister when I needed one most.
Their voices folded together for the first time, filling the room with warmth. They both cried, but laughter soon followed.
Sakura would call us ridiculous for crying over a piece of paper.
Stop being sappy and live your lives. I can hear her.
The stack of 10 letters sat on the corner of the desk, a silent monument to a decade of sacrifice.
We'll write another one next year, and the year after that, together.
Together.
And this time, the words would be a bridge built by 3 hearts, not a secret carried by one. A year passed. Cherry blossoms drifted through the cemetery air as Riku and Hina walked together to Sakura's grave. Hina carried the new letter, the 12th now, and a small bouquet of white camellias.
It's strange. I used to come here alone, feeling like a stranger. Now I feel like she's part of us.
They placed the letter on the stone, beside the framed photo that had weathered another year.
This last year has been different. I started a new job, and you finally began your art classes.
I still write letters, but now they're for me too, not just for her.
They stood in silence, the breeze lifting cherry petals around them.
She'd be proud of you.
She'd be proud of us.
Hand in hand, they walked away from the grave, the path ahead lined with blossoms. They stopped at the same cafe where, a year ago, Hina had fled from a single question. This time, they chose the table by the window.
I started a journal 3 months ago. My own words, finally. No ghostwriting.
And? Does it feel like you?
It does. I talk about my art class, the books I read, even my bad puns. Sakura would hate them.
She'd probably write a letter just to correct them.
Riku pulled out his phone and showed her a photo, a cedar box, carefully lined with fabric, holding 12 envelopes tagged by year.
I got it last month. Every year's letter is there, from her first to ours.
12 letters. The next one will be our second together.
And maybe, one day, we'll write one to Sakura's children, if she could have had any, telling them about their aunt.
The promise had become a tradition, and the tradition had become a home. It started on his 17th birthday, a year after the accident. A letter arrived, signed by his sister, but the hand that penned it was Hina's, a 16-year-old girl keeping a deathbed promise.
This is the first of many. I'll be your big sister now, Riku, just like I promised her.
Each year, she watched his life unfold from the shadows, crafting words that felt like home. Year after year, the letters grew, from whispered secrets to bold encouragements.
Every birthday, her voice reached me. I never questioned it. I just believed.
She never saw his smile when he read them, but she kept writing, because the promise had no end date. The stack grew thick, paper and grief and love pressed together over a decade. Now 12 letters rest in a cedar box, proof that invisible love can change a life. And the 13th is already waiting to be written. They walked through the park at dusk, cherry blossoms drifting like the pages of old letters.
I used to be jealous of Sakura. The way you two were so close, I was always on the outside looking in.
Jealous? I never knew that.
For years, I felt like I was just borrowing her place. But now, I feel like I have my own.
They stopped under a large cherry tree, the branches heavy with blossoms.
I am not her replacement. I am just Hina.
And I am glad it's you, Hina. Not her shadow, not a replacement. You.
Their fingers intertwined, and the world around them seemed to still.
She's not my sister's shadow. She's the light that made me see again.
And the cherry blossoms fell like the pages of all the letters to come. They left the cherry tree and walked to the old playground where Riku and Sakura once spent every afternoon.
It hasn't changed. The same swings, the same slide. She loved the slide.
I remember. She used to say the slide was her throne.
She'd be happy, Riku. Seeing you here, like this. seeing us.
Hina, will you write the next letter with me again? Every year, together?
Every year, I'll be here. I'm not hiding anymore.
The sun sank lower, painting the sky in shades of amber and rose.
The letters brought me back. Now, they'll keep moving forward.
It's our tradition now. Not a secret, something we share.
And as the last light faded, the playground, like the letters, held a promise that would never end. The stack of 12 letters rested inside the cedar box, each envelope bearing a year that held a promise. The oldest letter, yellowed and fragile, sat beside the newest, still crisp and hopeful. Beside the box, a framed photo of Sakura smiled, her eyes forever young. The light from the window fell across the photo and the letters, linking them in an unbroken line. A fresh sheet of cream paper waited at the edge of the desk, a pen resting across it. The next letter would come, as it always had, but now with 2 names and one unshakable truth. Some promises are broken in silence. Others are kept for a decade, and then they become something greater. They became a tradition, a home, and a bridge between the living and the remembered. And together, Hina and Riku had learned that love was not a lie. It was a promise that grew with every passing year. Some promises don't end, they grow.